Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut, helping you cut through all the noise to get right to what really matters. Today, we're diving deep into firearm reliability, specifically what makes a piece of equipment truly dependable. We're looking at a popular online video source, one a lot of people turn to when they're curious about this stuff. But we're going beyond just a list. Our goal here is to really understand the why. The design thinking, the real world track records that make certain firearms just work. We want to pull out those key insights for you.
Yeah, and let's be clear right up front about what we're covering today. We are focusing strictly on semi-automatic pistols. So no revolvers in this discussion. We're looking at guns with really extensive battle-proven histories, things that have shown they perform under tough conditions.
Okay, perfect. So let's get into it. What makes these things tick, or rather reliably tick? We're starting our countdown of the most dependable semi-autos. Number 5. This one's a real legend.
It really is.
Yeah.
Number 5, the Browning High Power. What's amazing about this one is just how long it's been around. It first saw service way back in 1935. Think about that. And it's still used today by over 50 countries. It's definitely one of maybe even the most successful double-stack 9mm ever. The kind with the wider grip, holding more rounds. Yeah. And you could definitely argue it's kind of the granddad of almost every modern pistol design we see now.
Wow, 1935 to now. That's incredible longevity. What was it about its basic design, do you think, that let it last through so much? I mean, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, even the War on Terror.
Well, a lot of it comes down to its construction. It was all steel, very robust, and the locking mechanism, the famous John Browning design, was just incredibly strong and relatively simple. Honestly, it was probably over-engineered for its time, just super resilient, under really harsh conditions. Plus, it performed consistently. Add in that high capacity for the era, 14 rounds, and a pretty good feel in the hand. Well, that's why people called it likely the most reliable semi-auto of its day.
Makes sense. Okay, moving to number 4. This is a pistol, the SIG P226, that apparently proved its reliability in a really high-stakes competition.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The P226 was built specifically for those really tough 1984 XM9 service pistol trials, the ones where the U.S. military was picking its next handgun. It went right up against the Beretta, which eventually won. But here's the fascinating part. The SIG apparently didn't fail on reliability or performance. It only lost out because it was more expensive. Price was the deciding factor, not dependability. And it's got that double action capability, too. So that first trigger pull cocks and fires, and if you have a dud round, you can just pull the trigger again for a second strike on the primer.
Right. That second strike capability is a big plus for reliability. And it wasn't just the trials, right? The P226 became kind of the go-to for some really elite units, like the Navy SEAL.
Exactly. The SEALs used it extensively starting in the 80s and, right through recent times. Other special operations units, too. And when you think about who those users are and the situations they're in, their equipment has to work. No questions asked. The fact that the P226 earned, glowing reviews from those guys over decades of conflict in all sorts of environments, that tells you everything about its fundamental reliability. It's truly battle-proven.
Okay, number 3 on the list. This one's got a global reputation, the HK USP.
Yeah, the USP HK, Heckler & Koch, they have this reputation for just rock-solid reliability. And the USP really embodies that. Its military track record around the world is, well, the source called it mind-blowing. And you see that backed up. Lots of online torture tests, rave reviews from YouTubers, ex-military guys. They all seem to agree. HK just has this history of making some of the most reliable, iconic pistols for elite military groups.
HK definitely has that over-engineered reputation, sometimes in a good way. For the USP, did that translate into specific features that really boost its reliability, especially thinking about military use over decades?
I think so. The USP has a modular design, which is helpful, but the components themselves are just heavy-duty. It also has this unique recoil reduction system. It seems like it was really designed from the start to handle powerful ammo, harsh conditions, just general abuse. That focus on, let's say, component strengths and overall durability definitely pays off in terms of consistent function, even when things get rough, or maybe other pistols might start to pick up.
All right, coming in at number 2, a name pretty much everyone knows. It almost defines reliability in modern handguns, the Glock.
The Glock. Yeah, it's iconic for a reason. Now, lots of modern striker-fired guns are super reliable today, but Glock really kicked the door down. It was the first really successful polymer-frame striker-fired pistol. No external hammer. The firing pin is cocked by the trigger pull or slide action. And why is it so trusted? Well, it's generally lightweight, accurate enough, famously simple, tough, and just incredibly reliable. That simplicity is key. Fewer moving parts, less to go wrong.
And you see them everywhere. Military, police, concealed carry for what, over 30 years now? What does that massive amount of real-world data tell us about why it's so consistently reliable? What's the core principle?
I think the data tells us that simplicity works. Fewer parts means fewer potential failure points. The polymer frame isn't just light. It flexes, absorbs shock differently than steel. It's just engineered for consistency. People trust it because, well, the source puts it bluntly, they know it will go bang every single time. And that's not just hype. There are like tons of data points, hundreds of documented reliability tests, plus, years and years on the battlefield backing that up. It just runs.
Okay, the tension builds. We've reached number one. And this one, or rather, this pair of pistols, was the personal favorite of the speaker in our source video. The CZ75, or its polymer sibling, the PO7.
Right. The CZ75 and its variants, like the PO7 or PO9, these are double-action 9mm, and what makes them stand out, according to the source, is their almost uncanny ability to eat ammo that other guns just won't. We're talking underpowered hand loads, maybe even that weird polymer case stuff. They just seem to cycle it. They're also known for performing really well in adverse conditions. Part of that might be the design, the slide rides inside the frame rails, not outside like most pistols. Gives it a tight fit, maybe keeps dirt out better. Plus, like the THIG, they often have that double strike capability. Pull the trigger again if the first time doesn't work.
So that design, the ammo tolerance, the track record, they're used by military and police forces globally too, right? What does that mean for someone choosing one for, say, concealed carry or even competition?
It means a high degree of confidence. The idea is when you pick up one of these CZs, you just know it's going to work when you absolutely need it to. And the source speaker really emphasized this from personal experience, that he owns several CZ75s, PO7s, a P9, and they were all just extremely reliable. Their overall track record, military, law enforcement, civilian carry, is called spectacular. And hey, if you don't like the weight of the steel frame CZ75, the polymer PO7 or PO9 offers basically the same reliability, just lighter.
Good points. Now, before we wrap up the list, the source did throw out a few honorable mentions. What were those again?
Yeah, a few others got nods for reliability. The Walther PPQ, the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, the FN series pistols, and basically pretty much any other semi-auto from H&K.
Okay, a good spread there. But while the source praised a lot, they also had one very specific warning, didn't they?
Yes. Very clear, very direct. Just don't buy the RP9. That was the one definite avoid this recommendation.
Okay, duly noted. So we've gone through the top 5 plus some extras. Let's try and pull this all together. What does this deep dive tell us overall about what makes a pistol reliable?
If you look at the common themes across these guns, a few things stand out. First, extensive use by military and law enforcement. That's a huge real-world test. Second, long service histories. Decades in many cases. Third, the proven ability to work under tough, adverse conditions, not just on a clean range. Then you have specific design features, maybe like that double strike capability or just inherent simplicity like the clock, and also the ability to handle different kinds of ammo reliably. So it's not just one thing. It's usually a combination of smart design, robust construction, and just tons of real-world proof over time.
That makes a lot of sense. And understanding these specific examples, like the ones we discussed, really helps you listening get a practical handle on what reliability actually means. Whether you're thinking about it for, critical life or death situations, or just for tools you depend on every day, these principles of being battle-tested, adaptable, and consistently performing, they really matter. So there you have it. We've distilled the key insights from our source on firearm reliability, focusing on guns with decades of proof behind them. Hopefully this gives you a clearer picture of what true dependability looks like.
And maybe it leaves you with a question to think about. Beyond just firearms, what does real reliability mean for other things in your life? The tools you use, the systems you rely on, maybe even the relationships you have. How do these ideas, the proven track record, performing under stress, consistency, how do those apply to other areas you count on every day?
That's a great thought to end on. Something to consider as you go about your week. Maybe you'll start seeing or looking for that kind of proven reliability in places you hadn't thought about before.